Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. It's Wednesday, August 6th, 2025. You are watching DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou.
Welcome back.
Full slate here to get into, John. Always a pleasure. Always look forward to this.
Oh, Ted, just since we texted each other this morning, there's been like an entire show's worth of extra stuff that has happened over the course of the day.
All right, so let's plow into it. In no particular order, really. Let's just get into it. I mean, so Donald Trump is threatening to take over, to refederalize Washington, D.C. You sort of shared a little bit of that history last time, but maybe you could do it again. As a New Yorker,
new background. Yeah,
I didn't really know the history. I went back and read it, but it is fascinating. But basically, Washington, D.C. is under home rule, as it's called.
Yes.
You can maybe explain what that is. And Trump is basically really agitated about crime in the nation's capital.
For a specific reason.
Because of big balls.
Yes, because of big balls. That's right.
So Big Balls is the Doge douche who got really famous because of his nickname. He's been all over social media and all over cable television and comedy shows and stuff. And Big Balls got carjacked, him and his girlfriend. And he did by 10 youths or so. 2 are in custody. I mean, all kidding aside, that's no fun for anyone.
And they beat the shit out of him too. And
he nobly defended his girlfriend. So the man has big balls. He's earned his nickname.
He does,
for real. And but with Trump, it's always personal. If he knows someone personally involved or he cares about them, they're a celebrity. Then he's pissed off.
That's right.
Take it away, John.
So Washington, D.C. license plates say taxation without representation, because that's a fact of life here. If you live in Washington, D.C., you pay federal income taxes just like everybody else, but you don't get a voting member of the House or 2 voting members of the U.S. Senate. So you're just out of luck. Until 1971, Washington, D.C. was governed by a congressional committee, the Committee on District of Columbia Affairs, it was called. And then in 1971, the federal government, under that paragon of liberalism, Richard Nixon, gave D.C. what is called home rule. Home rule means D.C. has a mayor who is actually the mayor of the city, and it has a city council, and it has neighborhood councils, and has all these different bodies that run the city on a day-to-day basis. Donald Trump doesn't like that. Donald Trump wants the Republican House of Representatives to take over D.C. again. And that idea, which is a terrible idea, got some energy when Big Balls was apparently accosted by 10 kids, 14, 15, and 16 years old. There was a picture of him on Truth Social. They beat the hell out of him, and he has no shirt on, and he's just soaked in blood. It's a disgusting picture. But there's more to the story that came out this afternoon. Somebody leaked to the Washington Post that in the last couple of days, Trump held a secret meeting at the White House to discuss ways to seize control of the New York mayoral race, throw Mamdani out of the country, and take over the government of New York.
What?
Yeah. Now that's not going to happen. It is patently unconstitutional. It's the very definition of fascism. It's not going to happen. But he's trying to figure out ways to make it happen. It's far easier to do in Washington, D.C., because there's a long history of federal intervention.
Right.
In fact,
it's
even
not a fully independent city in the same way that New York is.
It's not. And then even during home rule, when Marion Barry was the mayor, he was mayor 4 times. And he was, snorting crack and cheating on his wife and drunk at city council meetings. He would pass out. The federal government didn't do away with home rule, but it seized budgetary authority. And so for a period of 4 years, the government turned budgetary authority over to a guy who was a CPA, His name was Anthony. Oh, shoot, I forget his name. Anyway, he was just a nerd, and he ran for mayor and won and was an absolutely fantastic mayor. Anthony Williams. And so DC got home rule back in its entirety. Now Trump wants to take it away. This thing with the Mamdani, I mean, let's call a spade here. This is only because Mamdani is a Muslim and he's democratic socialism.
Well, but first of all, there's no legal basis for deporting Mamdani. He's a U.S. citizen.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I guess you can. I mean, you can deport a naturalized citizen, as my mom, who was a naturalized citizen, constantly reminded me. She was like, if they want, they can take it away. That's not true in other countries. Like, I'm a naturalized French citizen.
That's right.
But I can run for president of France. There's no second-class citizenship there, the way we have.
That's right.
So I mean, what does this mean? I mean, what does it say about the mental state and the political ideology of the president?
I know,
would even
right?
entertain such a thought. I mean, one of the commenters said the riots would be insane, and that is for sure. I think you'd have to go back to the draft riots of the Civil War. I mean, the city would burn. I mean,
it would.
I mean, Mamdani people like me would join the riots. I mean, it's like Mamdani's really popular.
Yeah.
It's the will of the people. He's going to be the mayor. Trying to keep Mayor Adams in is already a shocking move by the establishment because he's so unpopular. If they backed Cuomo, that would be a little bit more understandable. I think
it's Ted, you have much more experience with this than I do, but it seems increasingly clear to me, day after day after day, that Mamdani is going to be the next mayor of New York.
There's no question.
Just today, John Kiriakou, the second richest man in New York, he owns Gristedes and Red Apple and Wawa and supermarket chains. He's the biggest developer in Brooklyn, where Trump is the biggest developer in Manhattan. He endorsed, well, not really
all that wealth, but it can't buy him good looks.
No, it can't. No, poor guy. He's the ugliest man you've ever seen in your life.
He really is. He's a -1 out of 10.
Yes. In fact, I'm going to show you something. So while I'm talking, I'm going to look for it. So he endorsed Cuomo today. And to me, that is a message to Eric Adams that, buddy, you really need to drop out of the race. And he's not dropping out of the race. Let me see if I can. There you go.
Yeah. He looks pretty good because he's dark there. You can't see much of him. To not see him is to love his looks.
Yeah. So
he's not going to make me reconsider my heterosexuality. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. He's a nice enough guy, but anyway, he's kind of a Republican. He's kind of an independent, whatever. He's an independent Republican. But he did not endorse Eric Adams, who's the Republican nominee. Or no, he's not the Republican nominee. It's Curtis Sliwa.
Right. Eric Adams is the sitting Democratic mayor who did not present himself in the primaries because he was so unpopular. He's at single digits in the polls.
9%.
He was going to get he's got his ass kicked by a guy nobody'd ever heard of.
With a funny name.
With a funny name, Zoran. Yeah. Don't mess with the Zoran.
Don't mess with the Zoran.
And he ended up, so the dude is, so they're losing it there in the establishment over Mamdani. Completely.
Well, Ted, let me ask you a question. Today's New York Post had 3 different editorials condemning Mamdani.
It's every day.
It's because they're panicking.
Every day.
One of the things that they keep focusing on is his earlier support for the defund the police movement.
Right.
Is he serious about defunding the police? And what does that actually mean? Because it's my understanding that it doesn't mean actually defunding the police, but it means transferring some of the budget for some police activities to other law enforcement organizations. County sheriffs, for example.
Well, so I mean, New York doesn't really have much in the way of county sheriffs. We do have one, but we do have it. But it's like you never see them. They're right. It's not like LA where.
And you don't have a transportation police.
We used to. Yeah, Giuliani got rid of the transit police. I feel like it was a real blow to public safety, because these were people who knew the subways inside and out. They could chase a suspect into the tunnel. They knew how to turn off the power, where to go, and all that. They were experts in the subway, and crime in the subway has just not felt manageable ever since. Okay, but yes, the defund the police movement that Mamdani supported at the time, which he's now backed away from because of the bad messaging, was to move some resources from police departments in general, the NYPD in particular, over to social workers who do a lot of a lot of cop work is work that cops shouldn't be doing. They don't want to be doing.
Like dealing with mentally ill people,
for example. And the cops aren't good at it. They don't enjoy it. It's not why they joined the force. So you send social workers out to, hey, dude, it's cold. Let's go to a shelter tonight. Come with me. It's going to be all right. That's what they were going to move those assets over. It would have reduced funding for the NYPD, but they would have also had fewer responsibilities, and they would have had, been able to focus more on crime. Basically it was taken as defund the police, like get rid of all. It started out as an academic paper, right? And and basically it ended up as what's on a title of an academic paper doesn't make a good slogan on a protest sign at a demonstration. That's where right. Things need to be easy to understand and you don't need to explain it.
That's right.
So yeah. No, I mean Mamdani's he's not a radical. I mean he wants to freeze the rent. That's right. Not a big deal in a city where the rents have been leaping by.
It's quite a popular position.
Well, and the rents are sky high. Yeah. I mean, John, I mean, you haven't been to my place, but I have a 2-bedroom apartment on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. I pay $5,100 a month. That's people say, oh, but that's market. I'm like, yes, it's market.
That's the problem.
But we also have 700,000 people left during COVID. There's warehoused apartments all over the city. And there's all sorts of problems with the system. But anyway, the point is the other thing is free buses, which wouldn't really cost the city that much money.
Well,
most
Washington
people who ride
started
the buses
doing that.
Transferred for free from the subway anyway.
That's right. Washington started doing free buses a year ago, June, and it has been seamless.
Now, free gross, he wants to put one free sort of nonprofit grocery in each of the 5 boroughs. So we're talking about, in a city of 8 million people, 5 supermarkets. I don't think that's going to it's probably not going to work. I hate to say this because I love that idea as a leftist, but I rolled up my sleeves. I looked into the history of how this has worked in other cities in the past. And generally the margins on grocery stores, as your friend, the grocery magnate could probably say, are very, very low. And you have to have vast economies of scale that unfortunately, a 5 little stores aren't going to have. So it'll probably fail. But, it's not a radical, it's an experiment to try.
It's an experiment.
One per borough, right? I mean, there's 2.7 million people in my borough of Manhattan here. I mean, we're not all going to that one store. Sorry.
Ted, how do you look so healthy? And with this light, I look like I'm dead. I have a light here, and I just don't know.
Is it do you have a fluorescent, or what is it?
No, it's like one of those bars that it's supposed to be dark.
Oh, it's the LED, maybe. I have natural light, but it's filtered courtesy of the Canadian wildfires. It's filtered through a layer of haze. I don't know if you guys are getting that in DC.
Not yet, but we got it last summer, and you could smell it in the air. It just chokes you.
Yeah, no, I'm suffering. I'm hurting. I have asthma. I'm not a happy camper when this happens at all.
Let me add one more thing about John Kiriakou. He made this idiotic statement to the Greek American paper, the National Herald, last week, that if Mamdani is elected mayor, he's going to leave and he's going to move to St. Petersburg, Florida, where he's building the tallest residential, 100-story residential condo thing in the state of Florida.
Bye.
Yeah. Okay. Go.
We have
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Just go.
The New York Post has been editorializing repeatedly that, New York is its billionaires. If the billionaires leave, we'll all be screwed. I think a lot of us, 7.9 million of us, we'd like to check that out and see if that goes. We'll beg for forgiveness and ask you to come back if it turns out we're all broke.
Sure.
But
Go.
like I'm somehow doubting that that's going to be the case.
Yeah,
considering
I have to
the
agree.
city's been around since the 1600s, kicking ass and taking names the entire time.
That is right.
I mean, it's they call it New York fucking City for a reason. So whatever. So I guess so DC though, the DC thing, unlike the New York City thing, that could actually happen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it could actually happen, which would be a very bad thing. But Trump knows there's no way for Washingtonians to defend themselves. They just can't do it. And then we've got this, I say we, I live just outside Washington.
Isn't DC kind of ungovernable? And I mean, wouldn't that be like an unwinnable job for, I mean, we're going to be talking later on about Trump's plan to take over aid delivery in Gaza. But
yeah, good luck.
What's with Trump trying to take over, do these things that really no one can do?
Reed pointed out when we first started talking about Washington that Southeast Washington is one of the most dangerous shitholes on the East Coast. That is absolutely true.
100% true.
It is
a fucking national embarrassment.
A national embarrassment, ungovernable, unsecurable. Don't go there, even during the daytime. So why does Trump want to take that on? You know, there was this announcement that that the New York Post had on its front page this morning saying, oh my God, shootings in New York are at their lowest level ever in recorded history, which isn't true. It's like their lowest level in 7 years. Okay, great. Congratulations to Eric Adams and his 9% support. But what about Washington? You want to take that on? That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, look, okay, well, you're a Washingtonian. What do you think? I mean, what do you think is the solution to DC's big crime problems? And they are real.
Yeah, they are real. I think that they have to, it's multifold. The answer is multifold. Number one, they have to address homelessness. The homeless situation since COVID has been absolutely ridiculous.
Lulu, that's a good comment. It should be rebranded to back up the police. That is so
That is
good.
A great idea.
That is really good.
That is a great idea.
Then the police unions would be on your side.
That's right. That is right.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, I'm not on team cop, but I have sympathy. I'm a human being. I know cops, and a lot of them are trying to do a good job. And and honestly, they shouldn't be social workers. Look, no little boy or little girl ever wanted to become a cop thinking like, I'm going to deal with gross homeless guys.
Right. No. So number one, you have to deal with homelessness, but you also have to strongly push education and vocational training because, how do I do that, Spectrum? How do I do that with the white balance? This light is on its darkest setting and I don't know what to do. I have to experiment with it.
We'll work on that later. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I would ask. That's why when I don't know what to do, I ask AI.
That's a great idea. I'll ask
I have an LED light. It's making me look white and washed out. Meanwhile, I look oily. I mean, if I look any swarthier, I could be picked up by ice. I don't know.
I'll figure this out. Oh no, I made it worse. So anyway, you got to do something about vocational training because you can't just have people living generation after generation after generation on the streets like this.
No,
it's not tenable.
Well, it's gross. And you see in other countries, you don't see this. They don't. Whether it's now or during the Soviet period, it wasn't like that in Moscow or St. Petersburg. Well, you couldn't. They would die. It's just ridiculous. All right. Well, speaking of local governance, should we talk about Texas? So that's still going on. The Texas governor, Greg Abbott, wants to fine the runaway Democratic legislators. Meanwhile, there's talk.
He wants to remove some from office. He's threatening to. You can't do that.
If he did, would that lead to special elections? Or would that lead
That's what they would try to do.
Or would he try to install a bunch of Republicans to replace them?
I don't see how you could, because these are Democratic strongholds. And we're talking about seats in Austin, San Antonio, Houston, and Dallas.
Well, if a U.S. Senate seat comes up open, though,
Yeah,
the governor
your point.
can fill it, right? With
Yeah,
anyone
but I
that he or
don't
she
think that's
wants.
the system in Texas. I think you have to call a special election. But just as you predicted, J.B. Pritzker welcomed these legislators to Illinois with open arms, and most of them are hiding in Illinois. And he actually gave them police escorts so that nobody from Texas can find them and try to kidnap them and bring them back.
Apparently, there was a death threat or some kind of threat against the hotel where they're purportedly staying.
Yes, there was a threat against the hotel.
I mean, that's
nuts.
Not surprising.
And New York, again, as we predicted, New York, California, and Illinois are moving forward on their own redistricting to countermand the Texas redistricting. There was something that was so interesting on TV today. What's the White House Chief of Staff's name? That woman, the blonde.
Yeah. I always forget her name.
Someone
will put it in.
Yeah, she was on Fox today, she was on CNN today, and the interviewer said,
Susie Wiles, that's it.
Susie Wiles, thank you. Said, so why is the president doing this? And she said that he's only doing what the Constitution mandates that he do. And the interviewer said, no, the Constitution mandates that these district lines be redrawn every 10 years after the census, and they're always drawn. Census is always in a 0 year, and they're always redrawn in time for the 2002 election, or the 2 election.
The next 2,
yeah. And she said, but he's mandated to do this for the Republican Party. And the interviewer was like,
some honesty.
It was unusually honest. And the interviewer, I don't remember who it was, said, but isn't he supposed to represent the American people?
Well, there's no pretense of that at all. No. I mean, I have not in this term heard President Trump, correct me if I'm wrong, one time express the thought that he's the president of all the American people, whether or not we voted for him.
Yeah.
Which is a standard thing that presidents say, even if it's not really true.
Well, look what he tried to do with FEMA day before yesterday. He ordered this memo to be circulated at FEMA that disaster funds were not to go to any state that voted blue. And
or any state or municipality that refuses to do business with Israel.
With Israel, that was the second part of the memo, and finally, cooler heads prevailed 2 or 3 hours after the memo was leaked, and it was finally retracted. But this is not good at all. I will say, though, Donald Trump, that old saying, the broken clock is right twice a day.
Totally.
He did something recently that was so freaking inspired and brilliant. I can't believe he did it. He named a new deputy director of the Bureau of Prisons, right? The BOP. One of the most notoriously corrupt and dysfunctional and broken organizations in all of government. It also happens to be the biggest bureau within the Department of Justice. He named a former federal prisoner who just got out of prison.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
After doing 5 years on a drug conspiracy charge, the new deputy director of the Bureau of Prisons.
That's fantastic.
The guards union is going berserk.
John, you might be back at Langley soon, in charge at the big desk.
Stranger things have happened.
Director, Mr. Director.
Hey, maybe Tulsi Gabbard, follows me on Twitter for a reason.
Could well be. Well, they could definitely. No, I mean, honestly, that is an inspired choice.
I
love that he did that.
I do too. Great. He said he's going to focus on prison healthcare and food quality. And I wanted to just stand up and start applauding this guy.
Yeah.
Jason Smith.
I'm into it. I want to see. I'm really seriously still crossing my fingers for some major RFK food regulations.
Yeah.
On preservatives and shit, all that nasty crap in our food. I really want him to get cracking. John, let's talk about, this is one of my favorite stories. As you know, I used to be a banker, and Donald Trump, he threatened the colleges and the universities. He shook them down. By the way, Harvard's pissed because Harvard's being asked to pay $500 million, and they, according to the Times, they didn't care. They're like, $500 million. Whoop-de-doo. We have $93 billion in our endowment. We don't care. No big deal. But they're pissed off that Brown only had to pay 50, and it's another Ivy League school, and Columbia only had to pay 200. And they're like, why are we getting fucked over? And it's like, well, your anti-Semitism, it was so much worse.
So ridiculous.
10 times more than Brown's, or 2.5 times more than Columbia's. I mean, it's just a shakedown, and they're feeling like they've been rolled because they have been.
They have.
They shouldn't pay anything. They should say fuck off. And also, it's like, you go to Harvard. You are at Harvard. You don't own a calendar. This guy's not going to be around in 3 years. Like, John, you know what the courts are like. It takes forever.
Oh my God, yes.
Just sue, drag it out, wait for the fucker to die or leave office, and it's all going to go away. Just relax. I don't understand why they're panicking. But anyway, now he's going after the banks. Yeah. So he's accusing B of A and JP Morgan Chase and the other big banks of discriminating particularly against, he says they discriminate against conservatives. And then he told John what I thought was a super interesting story. He said that he had major deposits rejected, or after he made the deposits, the banks called and said, sorry, Mr. Trump, we do not want your money.
Yep.
Claimed it was hundreds of millions of dollars.
Debanked.
It's just like a homeless guy in Mexico City. And he's saying that the banks discriminate. So now he's going to go after the banks using regulatory powers, just like he sicked the Department of Education against the colleges. He can fuck them. He can, threaten to revoke their banking licenses, and he's going to shake them down for cash also for his presidential library. It's another shakedown. So literally, he's going to rob the banks because, after all, that's where the money is, as Willie Sutton famously said.
Yeah, that's right. He did.
So
why'd you rob that bank, Mr. Sutton?
John, I know the answer to this question, but I want to know if you know the answer to this question. Why do you think the banks told him that they didn't want his money? And I actually believe that story.
Yeah, he says that the Clintons and the Obamas told them to. Told them to
That's
debank
not why.
him. Why was it?
No, because
he's a grifter.
Because under the USA Patriot Act and a lot of other banking securities regulations, it's the law. If money, if major deposits are made to your account, whether you're an individual or a business, that you can't explain in some kind of credible way, then the bank is going to they're going to be charged with felonies, right? So so like, for example, I moved money to a significant amount of money from one bank to another after my mother died, and she left me money. And I got a call from the bank, and they said, I'm sorry to ask you, can I ask you what this is, what this money is from? Well, how did you derive it? What do you intend to do with it? I thought, God, what a bunch of busybodies. What a bunch of assholes. Yeah. Now, as it is, I had an answer. I just told the truth. Donald Trump obviously made some big deposits that he wasn't able to explain to the satisfaction of his bankers. That's why they kicked out the deposits. The one thing banks don't want to do is reduce their nightly float. So if they're turning your money away, it's because they're more
There's really a problem.
Yeah, there's a problem. So what this indicates to me is that according the bankers looked at what he did, they didn't like the cut of his. They didn't like the look of where that cash came from.
Yeah,
he didn't have a good answer for them.
No.
Now this is a guy who's been doing major millions of dollars banking for 50 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, you would think that he would know how to deal with this. I mean, to me, I just don't know if the Democrats are smart enough to pick up on this. But to me, there's a scandal here.
Yeah, there very well could be. To tell you the truth, I don't think the Democrats would even think up something like this. Or if they did, it would be so hard to implement and not leave. Sure. Looking into it's one thing.
Something's up.
Yeah, that's different. But I'm not sure that they would be able to pull it off without there being fingerprints all over it. That that's just, I think, a bridge too far. Oh,
maybe. By the way, I guess we
you.
should probably do a quick request to, if you guys already know about our Rumble thing, please go over to Rumble and also watch us over there, because we literally get paid like 100 times more. So instead of like a penny, for every penny, we'd get like $1 over there. I mean, I'm kind of radically simplifying, but it is really true. If you want to support the show and you want to help John and I, be able to pay our bills, something that we currently cannot do, it would be really great if you guys would go over to rumble.com, sign up, and I don't know, I can put on Robbie. Robbie, you ready to go on and do your quick pitch? Here.
Real quick, before, as Robbie's coming on, I wanted to say I went to the bank this morning. I had an appointment to go to the bank this morning because I'm so broke. They took a $15 monthly maintenance fee, which put me at negative $15 in my account. So I had to go back and say, guys, come on, can you just give me back my $15? And they did, thank goodness. So I'm back up. I'm back up to zero.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right, Robbie, quick explanation, and then we'll move on with the show.
But my goal is to help break that zero problem. So,
Thanks,
long story short, just like what Ted said, Rumble pays a whole hell of a lot more. Rumble also has come out with a new change effective today. If you want to be a Rumble premium subscriber, so what that means is you're going to see all the premium content, like Tucker Carlson, whoever else, become a monthly subscriber. However, if you only care about DeProgram, you can become a monthly subscriber for DeProgram for $5 a month as opposed to $10, and see all of the premium content that they're going to start dropping next month. So that way there's that way the paywall is cheaper. And the best part is, whenever you become a monthly subscriber, they keep 100% of that $5. YouTube, whenever someone becomes a channel subscriber, takes 40%. So Rumble gives them everything. So whenever Ted says that Rumble pays better, it does pay better. And also Rumble will not censor what they say. And speaking of monthly subscribers, we got 3 brand new ones on Rumble, y'all. So we got Jesse Lee, Tyler Travesty, and then Tyler also gifted a sub to someone over there on Rumble. So thank you
so much, guys.
Thank
really
you very much.
You, Robbie. Thanks for that. Much appreciated. All right, I'll put the Rumble thing
and
up
and
there.
Sodan Selwyn has a question. Selwyn, thank you very much there, man. Do you think Tulsi is stuck between a rock and a hard place? She's been real quiet about everything, especially Gaza, and she seems more like a press secretary than a DNI.
It's when you work for Trump.
Yeah. I think, yeah, you've hit it on the head. I think that she's having to say some things about the White House that she doesn't really believe. I think she's had to squelch her own positions on many of these issues, like Gaza, just because she can't have an independent opinion now. And this is the price of working for a very strong personality like Donald Trump.
Yeah, no question. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say, like when you get a call like that. I mean, first of all, there's the question like, this is your president and I need you. As an American, I don't care.
You have to say yes.
I feel like that's your patriotic duty.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, I mean, regardless of who that president is, but on the other hand, it's Donald Trump, and it's gonna end in tears. It always does. So, all right. So I don't know. I thought that was fascinating about the banks. We'll watch that story, but he's going to definitely shake them down. And right now they've got to be thinking, well, it's not a question of if we're going to pay. It's a question of how much we're going to have to pay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
All right. So, when the Berlin Wall came down, John, I was working at Bear Stearns, and my roommate and best friend, Dan, called me up and the day that it happened. And we were talking about it. And I said, what? And I asked Dan, he said, what do you think? And he said, it's kind of like the reunion tour at the time in the 80s, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. He's like,
I went.
He said, I didn't really like any of Germany's previous collaborations, and I'm not looking forward to the next one. And I feel that way about the news that this is the 80th anniversary of the bombing of Hiroshima. that
Yes.
led to the U.S. occupation of Japan
That's
and
right.
the imposition of a constitution that required them not to have a military for any purpose other than strictly defensive. And now the Japanese are really looking to rearm. We've seen there's been some predicates to this. They
Yes.
wanted to, it's been around, but that seems to be a really popular opinion now in Japan.
Yeah, and we saw that happen
to their next military operation.
And we saw that happen in Germany too, right? The Germans have an army, of course. It's either the biggest or it's either the second or third biggest in NATO, behind the United States and Turkey. I can't remember which one's bigger, but their constitution prohibits them from deploying troops overseas until, of course, Bill Clinton insisted on it, and they went to Yugoslavia and had an occupation force, and then Afghanistan after that. That's right. I want to thank Selwyn again. Sodan. Thanks again, man. Do we think the Saudis were scared of Gaddafi? Oh yeah, I could tell you with 100% certainty that they were scared of Gaddafi.
What were they scared about? That he was too popular, and that
they were afraid that he was. Yes. And he's so unpredictable and so popular at the same time. The only thing that made the Saudis back off on seeking his overthrow, when he made that announcement that he was going to focus on African unity rather than on the Middle East. It saved his life, because the Saudis had come to us and asked us to overthrow him by any means necessary, and that they would pay for everything.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a huge reveal. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and we were like, relax. We don't really have reason. This is 10 years before he was actually overthrown.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And sodomized with that bayonet on video.
That's right.
Hillary Clinton cackled. We saw.
Yeah.
He died.
Yeah.
What are we? For people who aren't aware, you should go look up a list of Gaddafi's accomplishments.
It's dramatic.
Highest literary rate in Africa. Basically, if you had a wedding, that used to be a massive expense. The government covered your wedding. Yeah. You got free college, free healthcare, free everything. All the oil wealth was nationalized and put towards the people. Of course he was wildly popular.
Yeah, he was wildly popular. And one of the things that the Americans were so afraid of is that he supported a unified currency for Africa. In the Middle East, you've got the Saudis that deal in dollars and the Kuwaitis deal in dollars, and everybody's buying and selling oil with dollars. And Gaddafi's like, no, we need something like the Europeans have with the euro. And the Americans said, oh my God, that's going to wreck us.
By the way, this is very true. What Nick Otto said changed women's lives incredibly. Even though he was Muslim, he ruled like a secular.
Yeah,
dude.
He did. And he famously had a coterie of female bodyguards.
Yeah. Quentin Tarantino was influenced by that, because they were like crazy, awesome, hot kung fu fighting ladies.
Yeah. No, I never was.
Was he actually responsible for Lockerbie?
I always believed that he was.
What was the motivation?
It was for killing his daughter when Reagan killed his daughter in '86. Yeah, by bombing his tent. He wasn't in the tent, but she was like 4 or 6 or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. I got into it with Hannity about that exact issue. I embarrassed him because he claimed that was in revenge for. He said that the Lockerbie, that killing the kid was in revenge for Lockerbie. And I was like, in that case, I said
3 years
Reagan,
before Lockerbie.
I said that's what I said. I said Reagan must have been clairvoyant then. It's like that's just not possible. Did not happen. No, and you can hear them like, go to break.
Yeah, no, 3 years before Lockerbie. Reed asks why I never converted to Islam. I studied Islam with one of the faith's most important scholars, living scholars, Sayyid Hossein Nasr, from Iran. I studied Shiism mostly, but now I'm a practicing Greek Orthodox, and I'm fascinated by the Middle East and Islam, but it's not for me.
Yeah, I think no, it's funny. Like I had a pretty famous essay in the 90s called "Choosing My Religion" about a roommate who was literally she was shopping around for religions, and Islam, just when you're shopping for a religion randomly, Islam doesn't come up very high. It's like you end up like Buddhism ends up high.
There's work involved. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And and there's some problematic aspects to Islam.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, all religions, but
all religions. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
أنا أتكلم اللغة العربية.
A lot of people avert though.
Yeah.
You just answered that question. Oh wait, I want to get this question.
Marcel, that's a good question.
Are there political views shared by almost everyone at the CIA, and how much do political views vary there?
The one political view that everybody shared is we all just hated the Israelis. All of us. I mean, hating them and being forced to work with them are two different things. And we were forced to work with them, but nobody liked or respected the Israelis. But I'll tell you a story that I've told.
Are they all conservatives?
I assumed that they were, and I was wrong. So what I mean by that is we never, ever, ever talked about politics. It just was not a thing. It was not a part of the CIA culture. It didn't matter who the president was. We were there to serve the American people. And then on election day, 1992, I had been in the agency for almost 3 years, and most of us voted, early in the morning, because you never know when you're going to get busy. You might have to stay till midnight. The president has a question, or you have a briefing, or whatever. So my branch chief said, I know we're not supposed to do this, but I'm really curious as to who everybody voted for. And I thought, wow, that's bold, because I had no idea the ideologies of the people that I sat 3 feet away from. Mm-hmm. And I was shocked when we went around the little room, and it was 3 for Bush, 3 for Clinton, and 2 for Perot. I was shocked by it because I just assumed I was the only progressive.
Sure. Yeah. John, I don't know if I told you this story, but, when I went at Columbia the first time around, in 84, I went to the jobs fair, and CIA had a table at the jobs fair. And and I don't know how true this was, but when I talked to them, they asked me, all sorts of questions, and they said, somehow the subject of politics came up, and they asked me, so do you go to any like socialist or left-wing meetings here on campus? I said, yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
I said, I'm basically a communist, and he's like, and the guy was like, he didn't like that. It was 1984. It was during Reagan. And he said, well, that could be a problem. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm fluent in French. And just because, I'm a patriot, I love my country. I mean, being left wing or right wing should have nothing to do with anything. And, I would die for my country if need be. And he's like, well, maybe. But he said, mainly, he said, we recruit Mormons from Utah.
Lots of them.
So that was true.
And lots of, oh my God. It's like every other person you encounter is a Mormon, because they speak these funky languages that, they all go to language school. And I think it's, because they go on their missionary work. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to train them to speak Uzbek or Tajik or whatever. They already know it. Yeah. And they don't do anything in their lives. So they blow right through the polygraph. They blow right through the background investigation. They don't even eat chocolate or drink coffee, let alone, steal stuff or do drugs. And so they just sail right through the process. The FBI is the same way. It's full of Mormons.
Well, so it's funny because after that happened, like 10 years later was the first time I went to Central Asia. And I remember, back then, I don't think it's true anymore, but like in the early days after independence from the USSR, all the capitals of those countries had like a British pub with like CNN International piped in by satellite. And it was like the place to go if you were, an English speaking person and you didn't want to lose your mind and you just wanted to have like a cold beer and like watch like something in English. And anyway, I go to the one in Bishkek in Kyrgyzstan, and it was just me and this guy. And so we start talking, and he's like, he's American, and I'm like, what do you do? And he's like, oh yeah, I work in the, I work for an oil company. I'm like, really? And I go, you work for an oil company, and you're here? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, so how long have you been at the company? Right? Because inside the company, Philip Agee. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I go, come on. Like, you're an agent. It's okay. I don't care. It's off the record with me, but, you know. And he's like, after a while, he's like, 8 years.
My God.
And I go, and I'm like, and then he goes, how did you know? And I go, because Kyrgyzstan doesn't have any oil. You need a better cover.
No, he needed a better cover is right. Right. I used to tell people, we were trained to tell people something so boring that they wouldn't ask any follow-up questions.
Oh,
so
accountancy, actuarial
training. Yeah. Oh, I'm in the foreign service. I do a lot of training and some import-export negotiations.
Although import-export, I immediately think of weapons.
Oh, right. Well, I was on a flight once from Milan to Sofia. I was doing a sensitive operation, so I couldn't go directly from Athens to Sofia. I had to, get a different passport and then get on a plane and go from Milan. And so I never talked to people on planes, but this frickin' Italian guy, this big fat Italian guy I was sitting next to, just question after question after question. And he just wasn't taking my monosyllabic, answers as a hint. So what do you do? I said, oh, I'm involved in import export. Oh, what do you import and export? Whatever.
What is the guy's like, oh, me too.
Yeah, whatever makes the most money. And he just wouldn't stop. So finally I said, look, I smuggle women and cigarettes from Eastern Europe. Okay. Are you happy? And he's like, well, I don't think I approve. I said, I'm not asking for your fucking approval. So just mind your own business. Oh, he sat there like this the rest of the flight, never said a word. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that so much, John. Thank you so much for that story. Makes my day. Okay, and it's been a long day already. Okay, so
wow, yeah.
Let's talk about Donald Trump as always, because it's been about 10 minutes. So the aid situation in Gaza, we're not going to recap. We all know it's fucked up. Gaza humanitarian, the used to be the international community and the UN. They were kicked out. The Israelis are like, we can do a better job. All they do is kill the people who come to their shitty food sites. And so it's totally fucked up now. Trump says that he wants to take it over himself. Steve Witkoff, his envoy, says the U.S. will take direct control of distribution of humanitarian aid in Gaza. Can I just say that, like, the devil is in the details here?
You can say that again.
Is he going to do this? Is this like, how would it look like? What are the risks that are entailed? I mean, this is the same U.S. government that tried to install, a pier, and it like got blown away in a storm, and spent millions of dollars on it, and almost lost a guy doing it. How?
I can't imagine that this is a real plan. First of all, we don't have the assets on the ground to be able to do it. We would have to essentially invade Gaza.
Right.
And
which we could do.
Which we could, and have the military do it.
Right. And the Israelis would have to be okay with it because, hilariously, it is occupied territory by our ally. So we'd be, the Israelis would have to say okay, and they would essentially be relinquishing control.
That's right. That's right.
We'd have to come in by land. I mean, look, it's the U.S. We could do it, right? We could distribute massive amounts of aid, and we could do it extremely well and very quickly, I bet.
That's right. And it really has to be trucked in. It can't be airdropped.
Yeah.
Yeah, dropping it by air it doesn't work. It never works. It never has worked.
No.
It has to be trucked in, and the Israelis just won't let the trucks through.
I mean, so to me, I guess what's more interesting than the plan, which I can't imagine once Trump hears about what would be required, that he'll go through with it. Like you might lose Americans, they might be shot. It's also, it exposes the Israelis for what they've been doing, right? I mean, if there's any doubt in anyone's mind, it's like, well, you didn't want to let food in, but we can bring in food, which means you could have brought in food and you chose not to. I mean, you already have former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett writing that Israel is now a leper state in the United States, and he's a right winger, saying that that Israel's completely isolated from the world.
That's right.
That they've already lost Israel's lost the Democratic Party. They're in danger of losing the Republican Party. That the whole world hates Israel now. He's right. He's 100% right. So this would just increase that narrative. I mean, to me, this is a symptom of what's going on, right? But basically,
totally agree.
Trump looks at this and says, "Oh fuck, my Israeli buddy is going to drag me under, isn't he?"
Mm-hmm. Did you see the new poll that came out from Gallup yesterday? The numbers were shocking. The only Americans who support Israel are Americans age 55 and older. That's it. Everybody else is going huge, not just for the Palestinians, but for the Iranians versus the Israelis as well. Yeah. So they're losing Americans very quickly here, very quickly.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it's terrifying. And then also, I wanted to talk a little bit about the situation with the statehood offers, right? So, the French they started this. Emmanuel Macron said, okay, we will recognize Palestine. That's pretty much without strings. But Canada and the UK, lots of strings involved, right? So basically, with Canada and the UK, the requirement would be, and this is something that like the Arab League letter said also, basically they'll recognize the Palestinian Authority, not Hamas, that a Palestinian state, a future Palestinian state, would have to be completely demilitarized. So no military, and that the Israeli security would be prioritized in that arrangement, and that the new state would have to cooperate with Israel when it wants to come in and look for someone that they don't like or kill them or whatever. It's not sovereignty, right? I mean, a sovereign state has its own military, and but that seems to be like what's on offer now from the West. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Palestinians are at least diplomatically better off than they were a year ago.
Sure.
But it seems to me like this is kind of like the deal that like Zionists always say, Arafat had a deal, he didn't take it. And when you look at the details, you're like, no one would have taken it. I mean, it was going to turn the West Bank into a bunch of Bantustans separated into like 16 different zones. The Israelis were going to be able to come and go as they please. They would have no military whatsoever. I mean, it was going to be basically they're going to have the same independence as Lesotho, surrounded by
completely surrounded. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Now, the Palestinians don't make it any easier for themselves by, I shouldn't say the Palestinians, the Palestinian Authority doesn't make it any easier for itself by refusing to hold an election. I made a joke the other day on the show that Mahmoud Abbas is 19 years into a 4-year term, and he's a decrepit old man, and he needs to go. He's a million
years old. He's like 90, isn't he?
Yeah, he's almost 90. Yeah, he's got to go. And corruption, oh my God, with a capital C, that's got to end.
Yeah, not to mention, it gives cover. It's a Vichy regime, is what it is, and it gives cover to every time Israeli settlers are in there killing the locals. John, did you hear about this crocodile story? Oh my God! So this is wacky. So basically, before 2013, there was a crocodile farm that Israeli settlers created in the West Bank to basically harvest their skins and make handbags or shoes out of them or whatever. But then in 2013, it went out of business because the Israeli government passed an animal rights law that said that the Nile crocodile was a protected species. You gotta love Israel. They kill babies like they're going out of style, but the crocodiles are protected.
Gotta save those.
So gotta save Mr. Bitey. So then so here's the thing. It goes out of business. The Israeli settler who owns the farm just leaves it. Dips on it, doesn't give a shit about it. Leaves the crocodiles to their own device. Today there's 200 crocodiles there. Some of them, this place is 6 miles away from the Jordan River. There was concern. Several of them have escaped and have gone on the lam. There was concern that they might make it to the Jordan River and attack Jordanians and cause an international incident. And I'm like, okay, so they went in today and killed all 200 crocodiles.
Oh my God.
But this is against Israeli law to do it because they're protected. They're Nile crocodiles. Obviously, they could be returned to Egypt or whatever, and dumped in the river. But anyway, so it's just a wacky story. But it was also like, so wait a minute, you guys are not just moving your kids over there and killing the locals. You're moving dangerous animals to occupied stolen land. I mean, the thing is so bizarre.
Did you see the announcement from this zoo in Denmark yesterday?
Yeah.
To please bring your pets that you don't want anymore because we need to feed them to the lions. Circle of life and all.
Yeah, exactly.
People are like, what?
Yeah, that's right. Although, in fairness to the Danes, they said that they're not going to take my cat and let him run around the cage while the tiger chases him.
Right.
They would euthanize him first.
Yeah, and just toss him in there.
And then toss him in there. It's such a a crazy story.
I was in Addis Ababa one time, Ethiopia, and I went to the zoo because I had a half a day, to do nothing. There's really nothing to do.
That must have been a sad story.
There were these 3 or 4 zoo workers that were pulling and pushing this screaming donkey into the lion's cage. And the thing is doing everything it can to fight being pushed into the lion's cage. And then they just oh yeah. And the lions tore it to pieces. I walked out. I just couldn't.
I have to admit, I would want to watch that.
It was bad.
I would want to watch that.
They gouge you if you're a Westerner. It's like a nickel to get in if you're Ethiopian, and then it's like $1 to get in if you're not. Those
foreign zoos though, they're rough.
They're bad.
Like in Central Asia or whatever. Yeah.
It's
not up to the high standards. Well, that's what the Central Park Zoo used to be like here in New York. It was awful.
Bad.
So let's talk about more Israel stuff. So I thought this was interesting. So it turns out that in the 12-day war between Iran and Israel, that actually the Iranians blew up a lot of shit and killed some Israelis. And the damage was quite substantial.
Yes.
Now, we haven't heard much about that here in the West.
No.
But what's coming out now is that in Israel, nobody knows. It's been completely censored.
Squelched.
And so the Iranians, the Israelis obviously live in a very small country. I assume they all talk to each other and word gets out. But, what does that say about this so-called democracy?
Yeah.
That information is so carefully controlled.
Yeah, it's no democracy. It's certainly no functioning democracy. When you have, 12 different parties that are all represented in parliament, and it's literally impossible to have a functioning government that's not a coalition. And then everything is trumped by military concerns anyway on top of it. Israel's no democracy.
Well, yeah. So, I think honestly that control has been very effective. It's part of the reason that ordinary Israelis don't really know just to what extent they've become, their country is a pariah.
Yep. Agreed.
Interesting story, speaking of Israel tangentially, but its effects here in the U.S. So at Stanford University, they have a school newspaper still, thank God, and a really interesting lawsuit. So it turns out the editors noticed that a lot of columnists and would-be student journalists have either refused to join the paper, refused to submit articles, or quit, and it's become a serious problem because a lot of them are international students, and they're afraid that if they comment on not just Gaza, but anything else that the Trump administration doesn't like, that they could be deported. And they have reason to believe that because, of course, the Trump administration has attempted and has had ICE kidnap people off the street for writing columns in the in a student newspaper.
Yep.
That's been enough.
Yep.
So the Stanford paper is now suing ICE and the Trump administration for their squelched First Amendment rights, which is, of course, the only thing that the First Amendment really is good for, is protecting you from government censorship, which is usually in the past never direct, usually, right? Like my case with the LA Times was unusual because the LAPD, which is a government entity, purchased the LA Times parent company. So it was like basically a First Amendment case by proxy, but that doesn't usually happen. Usually someone calls the paper, says fire John Kiriakou, and then they do, but you can't sue the government. You can only sue your employer, and the employer is not a government entity. Here, the government entity is directly stifling the speech of the student newspaper. I don't know. I wish them well. I don't know if it's gonna work. Suing government is hard.
It's very hard. Yeah. But man, this is so scary. And we still have 3.5 years of this left, and even then, will cooler heads prevail again? I don't know. This idea that you could just get rid of people whose opinions you don't like. Very scary. And, we forgot to mention that Trump announced today he's going to meet with both Putin and Zelensky.
Oh, yeah. That's huge.
Yeah, that's
just
huge.
broke. That just broke.
Yeah. And
so is it going to be at the same time or in two separate meetings?
No, two separate meetings. And the Kremlin is saying it's because they're just tired of Trump being on their back all the time. So they're going to at least listen to what he has to say. So this is a good thing.
Oh, it's a very good thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I wish this had happened a long time ago.
Me too.
So I guess, Trump usually takes a more active role in international diplomacy. We saw that with North Korea during his first term. Is this one of those things where he's like, well, thank you, Steve Witkoff, but I've got to I've got to take care of this myself.
Right.
Man to man, Vladimir and I can work it out.
I think so. I
Can
think
he?
so. I don't think Putin will let him. Putin is not willing to be bullied. And Trump thought he could bully Putin into a settlement.
No, Putin's not bullyable.
No.
But what if Trump goes over there? Is there an inducement? Is there a deal? Is there a structure that will work for the Russian Federation and, presumably for the supporters of Ukraine?
I used to think so, that the Russians get to keep the Donbass. They get to keep the Crimean Peninsula, that the Ukrainians won't be allowed to join NATO, but they would be fast-tracked in the European Union. Everybody said that was the deal.
And what if it was that and maybe Russia pays reconstruction costs for Ukraine?
Oh, that would be actually... I don't know why Putin would agree to something like that, but I think the Ukrainians would jump at it. Yeah, they do. They do, from all that gas they're selling to the Indians.
Yeah. And to the Chinese.
Uh-huh.
So I feel like, they could do that, right? I feel like that would be like, okay, yes, you've lost territory, but you're being compensated.
Yeah.
It's like, view it like a sale of Alaska.
Yes, could be. Could be.
That's the kind of, we know Trump, you watch the show, you're welcome. You can take that for free.
Speaking of watching the show, I have a Google alert on myself. I always have. I was shocked day before yesterday to see that you and I were quoted on NPR.
No way.
Yeah, I meant to send it to you. I was shocked. We were quoted on it said Ted Rall, an editorial cartoonist, and CIA whistleblower John Kiriakou discussed whatever. I can actually call it up because I saved it. I saved it. I was like, what? I got to tell Ted about this.
Wow, that's great. Well, we have
shocking.
If you, Mr. or Ms. or MX NPR is listening or watching right now, thank you very much for the hack tip.
Thanks for that.
We appreciate it. And if you ever need us as a guest, one or both, let us know.
That is right. That is right.
Wow. That is cool.
I'll find it. You'll find it. I saved it.
That's fantastic. Do you remember which show it was? Or was it like just a written piece?
Here it is. Google alert. It was about Palestinian food aid. And it says here, hold on, open a new link. Enter. Verifying that you are a human. Okay. Full article. Doggone it. Sorry this has taken so long.
Tom, it is. The Graveyard book is actually John's book. So
that's my book.
That question. What happened to it? He wants to know.
I was yelling at my editor yesterday, like, you guys are killing me here. I sent you the manuscript 3 years ago, April. You told me at the absolute latest it would be out on July 31st, and here we are in August. So it's a 3-minute listen. Oh. It's entitled "In Gaza, More Palestinians Are Killed While Awaiting Food," and then in the article,
okay,
talking about the famine is unfolding and that you and I discussed it on the show.
That's it.
That's it.
That's so random.
Like we're a mainstream, news source that NPR turns to for.
Well, of course, obviously, goes without saying. That's
so
amazing,
strange.
Though. So great. Hey, so Dana wants to know: do we think Epstein was a double agent? I assume you mean for like Mossad, right?
No, I think he was an agent for Mossad. It's possible that he was a double agent for the CIA. Absolutely possible. And the only reason I say that is because of Alex Acosta saying that he had to give him a sweetheart deal because Epstein was intelligence.
Yeah, and what else could that mean?
What does that mean?
It has to mean American intelligence.
It has to mean American intelligence, because there are only two people that Alex Acosta would have reported to at the time, Alberto Gonzalez and George W. Bush.
It's certainly possible, right? No question.
Yeah.
Marcel wants to know, is either side, Russia or Ukraine, going to budge? Both sides have reinforced their goals over and over without change over the whole war. That's true.
Yeah.
But I do feel like the facts on the ground are the facts on the ground, and that's not going to change. I mean, I can't think of any historical precedent where you'd have a situation like this where, for example, Ukraine would get its way and Russia would withdraw from a significant amount of territory, not after a situation like this. Yeah. And conversely, I can't imagine a situation where, Ukraine is going to just be like blithely give up claim to a substantial 20% of its territory and be like, we don't care, whatever, easy, no harm, no foul. I mean, those demands are going to remain. That's why I suggest the money thing. Then, it gives the Ukrainians a way to save face.
That's right. And I'm sorry to jump to another subject, but I know we're very short on time now, but I wanted to say something. There was a very, very important demonstration in Australia a couple of days ago that was led by Julian Assange. That was one thing that I wanted to say. He's finally getting out there and taking a leadership position in some of these things. And there's also a very important march coming up in support of Mary Kostakidis, who is, I'm not over stressing this, she is the Walter Cronkite of Australia. She's being sued by a bunch of Zionist groups for calling what's happening in Gaza a genocide. And she risks actually being imprisoned for anti-Semitism for saying
Wow.
that what's happening in Gaza is a genocide. They have some fucked up laws in Australia.
I guess
But,
those laws are obviously very similar to England's, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
So yeah, I mean, it's very easy to get on the wrong side of a libel law.
Oh, it really is. It really is. So good luck to both Julian Assange and to Mary. They deserve our support.
For sure. Hey, so there's some interesting paranoid articles about China as using AI to basically do research and oppo research against American politicians with a view towards possibly just being able to leverage them and all this. And basically, I read all these articles and basically they seem to have about as much meat as the articles talking about anti-Semitism in Gaza protests on American campuses. You're just looking in vain. Like, come on, like, where is it? Where is it? I mean, they must have nicer editors than I ever had, because my editors would never have published something that had no citations whatsoever. But it's all just random speculation. It's all breezy and airy. So yes, there is a country named China. Yes, there is a thing called AI. Yes, you can use AI to gather information about things and people. But so fucking what?
So what?
What am I missing? Am I stupid?
Exactly. Who cares?
I mean, yeah, it's just sort of like the idea, like China's doing stuff. They're big and scary and dangerous because yellow menace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just was hoping that was.
No. Oh my God. Chinese.
All right.
Okay.
Are we deprogrammed?
I'm deprogrammed.
All right, I'm deprogrammed too. We will be back Friday. I'll be in Montana. I have a book signing there, but I have time because of the time difference. It should be okay. If not, we might have to rejigger the time. But anyway, 5:00 Eastern time, in 3:00 Central time. If you're in Kalispell, Montana, come and see me at Barnes & Noble at 1 p.m. Friday and 1 p.m. on Saturday. And thank you very much for watching. We'll be back next week. Also, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's our schedule, 5 p.m. I'm Ted Rall. That's John Kiriakou. You've been watching Deprogram. Please like, follow, and share the show. Reed is saying we need some guests on this show. Hey, if you have any ideas for guests,
we do.
Know anyone, let us
Forson.
know.
Thank you, Forson. I've got a bad stomach ache.
Yeah. It's that sucks.
Getting a transfusion tomorrow. It's going to make me myself again. Yeah.
I remember I had a transfusion once.
I got to have a whole bunch of them.
Oh man. All right. Well, I hope it's all the best blood.
I hope so.
All right, John. Good luck. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks, buddy.
Take care.
Safe travels.
You too. Let's see. No outro end stream. There we go.